男孩第一次和女孩亲热，本来承诺只在外面不进去，不料下一秒女孩就知道被骗了。事后他回到家看着裙子上的体液，心里懊恼不已，然后就蜷缩在床上一言不发了。殊不知这件事可没那么简单，直到4天后父母意外看到了裙子上的污秽，就赶紧报了警，指控男孩强暴了女儿艾比。于是警察先对艾比录了口供，而他表示我俩本来互有好感，那天在派对上就一起去了暗房，而那里是专门亲热的地方。
First we were just making out, then he put his hand under my dress. I got nervous.
Okay, did you tell him to stop?
I told him not to go down there, to slow down.
And did he?
No, he wasn't listening. He pushed me up against a wall. I felt him get excited. He pulled down my underwear. He put a finger inside me.
Okay, so what happened next?
I said, wait. So he stopped, but then he tried to put his penis inside me.
Okay, did you say no when he did that?
不料艾比却回答不上来了，但这可是区分犯罪与否的关键，警察必须问清楚。
Couldn't move or speak. It was like I was paralyzed.
不过这属于正常反应，可以理解，可最终结果却是
It wasn't really getting in. He kept saying I was hot, and then I guess he came.
但不管男孩进没进去，他确实违背了妇女意愿。然而男孩永强却没把这当回事，声称只是玩玩而已。可当警察表明那违背了艾比意愿后，永强立马急眼了，大喊我俩甚至没发生关系。既然如此，警察就要进行 DNA 比对。结果父母先不乐意了，却不曾想警察有搜查令，见状母亲还想阻止，最后警察只能撂下狠话，要不就直接去派出所谈。永强这才不得不提供了 DNA 样本，而比对结果也很快出来了。艾比身上的体液与永强相符，同时警探又发现永强在网上炫耀了2人的亲密照，标题竟是采了颗樱桃，这怎么看都像是他有意的。然后警察就把永强请进了派出所。不料律师竟狡辩那是永强的第一次性经验，他一时兴奋还没开始就玩完了，所以不算性侵。但警察可不这么认为，于是双方因此争论了起来。可谁知就在这时，永强竟突然拿出了证据，证实2人仍是好朋友。原来艾比还一直在给他发消息。
I don't know why this is happening. I like you. I hope you're not mad at me.
这么看来，艾比可不像受害者，而这也让警方陷入了尴尬，连检察官都没信心继续了。可本森仍将艾比定义为不完美受害者，但现在必须先弄清2人之间的关系。于是警察就来到学校调查。有人说艾比一直迷恋永强，他可能欺永强没有再约他出去才指控的，而男同学更是认为艾比想要永强和他亲热。可当询问另一名男生时，他竟闪烁其词躲开了，这一看就是有问题。于是警察立马跟了上去。开始大个子还不想说，不过在警察威胁要告诉父母你也和未成年少女亲热过后，大个子立马害怕了，不得不说出了一个秘密。
Needed a name on his list.
What list?
Secret Society for Seniors, Nos Meses Sarasa.
What's the big secret?
There's this competition to see how many virgins you can bang, and everybody had a name on the list except for Chris.
而这份名单就在校长画像的后面。随后2人取下画像，露出了这份秘密名单，可真是大开眼界，上面密密麻麻写满了女孩名字。而就在警察怀疑这些都是未成年人时，吓得大个子赶紧解释，我的那个是17岁，是他主动送上门的。对此警察也不深究了，然后就紧盯永强写下的名字，而男孩也证实永强只写下了艾比的名字。所以这么看，永强和艾比亲热，从一开始就带着明确的目的性，而非单纯的好感。原本模糊的案件终于变得清晰了，所谓的误解不过是男孩将女孩的羞涩与犹豫当成了可以肆意越界的信号。随后检察官就将永强告上了法庭，罪名居然有3个，而永强当然不认罪了。结果法庭上的对峙充满了撕裂感。检察官首先要说明艾比事后还给永强发信息的原因，而这由本森来证明。艾比和永强在同一所学校读书，他可能担心被报复或者被同学污名化，所以被侵犯后仍和罪犯保持联系。至于事发4天后艾比才报警的现象，在受害者中也很常见，他们往往需要时间来理解自己的遭遇。不料律师却反问艾比主动发了调情信息，还自愿去了暗房，热情地进行了前戏，这些难道都不是他自愿想发生关系的信号吗？犀利的反问整的检察官也不由得沉下了脸。不过当警探作证永强参加了采樱桃俱乐部后，才算是又占据了优势。
Club's one purpose, to deflower female students, and then to record the names of those conquests on a wall in the library behind a portrait of the school's founder.
The defendant recorded Abby's name on that wall?
Yes, he did.
How many names had he recorded before hers?
None.
Were the other members of his club more successful this year?
Well, they claimed to be. And while interviewing them, it became clear that Chris was getting taunted as a failure who needed to step up.
So, by assaulting Abby and writing her name beneath his, that meant in the eyes of his peers that he was no longer a loser? Did he write Abby's name on that wall as someone whose cherry he had picked that night?
Yes.
Did he subsequently brag on social media that he had done so?
Yes, he did.
结果律师却抓住永强被嘲笑这件事，辩称他是受到了同伴压力，为了宣誓战绩才写下了名字，所以有可能是撒了谎。对此警探也不得不承认确有这种可能。而眼见形势不妙，检察官急忙又发问
During your initial interview with the accused, did he lie to you?
Yeah, He flat out denied having any sexual contact with Abby. It was only when we confronted him with the DNA evidence of his semen on Abby's dress that he admitted the truth.
就这样，检方才扳回了劣势。接着轮到艾比出庭指证了。首先，他承认一开始是自愿的，但接下来画风却变了。
He got aggressive. He put his hands under my dress, and then he put his finger in my vagina.
Did you agree to that?
No.
Did you tell him that you didn't agree to that?
Yes. I told him to slow down. I said I didn't want him to touch me down there.
And did that stop him?
No. He pushed up against me and tried to put his penis inside me. I said no again, but he kept rubbing up against me. He came on my dress.
Was that something you wanted?
No. He was hurting me. I'd never had sex with anyone before, but I knew that was not how I wanted it to be. I eventually told my mom the truth. We went to the police and I told them I'd been raped.
哪知律师却早有对策，他先是确认了当时周围很暗很嘈杂。
So there was a lot going on. So is it possible that you got overwhelmed and were unsure about what you really wanted, and that's why you never said no?
I didn't exactly say no, but I told him not to go down there.
Down there, where? On the floor?
That's not what I meant. I wasn't into it.
但律师就是要故意歪曲艾比的意思，然后借此指出永强当时也很紧张，和你一起在一个黑暗吵闹的房间，他怎么会明白你的意思？
I knew I didn't want to have that happen to me.
But did Chris know?
I think he did.
You think. You think you were raped. You think you told him to stop. Isn't it possible that you went completely along with this and then regretted it later?
就这样，艾比彻底被整迷糊了，他也不确定自己的想法了。这可不是个好现象，但永强父母心里却乐开了花。最后轮到永强接受诘问了，他当然声称每个动作都提前问过艾比，但艾比都没有说不要，所以我就继续。
I put my fingers inside her. I couldn't have done anything else, even if we both wanted to, because I finished early.
Did you have sex with Abby Stewart?
No, I did not.
但检察官岂会放过他，立马反驳起来。可永强就是不承认做过违背艾比意愿的事。
So she went to the police, testified on the stand, was publicly humiliated and ostracized by her friends for something that she made up?
No, she probably thinks she was raped.
Well, what does that tell you?
That she thinks that now, but she did want it at
How
the
can you
time.
be sure of what she was thinking or what she wanted?
I don't know if I can be sure, but she didn't say no.
She didn't say it or you didn't hear it?
I don't know.
Did you ever ask her?
No.
Did you ever hear a yes? No. Because you weren't listening to her at all, were you? You were only concerned with getting what you wanted, scoring, making it up onto that wall. Well, congratulations. You made it.
永强被问得哑口无言，检察官终于达到了目的，但最后的判决还要看陪审团，而陪审团很快也做出了裁决，结果却出人意料，永强性侵未遂重罪不成立，强行接触轻罪也不成立，可最后的一级性行为不检的轻罪却成立。这下永强不惜袭了，这意味着他将被列入性犯罪者名单，余生都背着这个标签。而就在判决下达后，两个家庭在法庭上竟爆发了激烈争吵，互相指责对方毁了自己孩子的人生。当被法警带走的永强回头望去时，艾比则朝着他大喊对不起，而这句道歉里有委屈，有懊悔，更有青春期无法言说的迷茫。但这场悲剧的根源从来都不是某一个人的过错，而是青春期的懵懂与冲动，是对同意的误解，更是社会对少年情感与边界教育的缺失。比起惩罚施害者，更重要的是教会孩子何为尊重，何为边界。比起纠结于谁在说谎，更该关注那些被忽视的少年心事与情感困境。